was a 2 hour. Had to sit there being that sick for 2 hours.
Who's getting those?
My sister. Oh.
My mom gets those. It can't be fun.
Oh, this is the COVID. Oh.
That's.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
daughter's in her class, right?
Well, Molly, I've got COVID. Really?
She got like really, really sick.
Yeah, yeah.
Holy crap, when did that happen?
That's
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
no.
Wednesday.
So she's been out.
Oh,
Well, I hope she comes out okay.
But they told my daughter that if she wore a mask, she could still go back to school,
yeah.
which obviously she didn't have close contact.
Yeah, not your young ones.
Yeah, there's only 4 kids in the class.
That's all.
nobody knows what to do. That's all it is.
It's impossible to know.
Oh, I've been exposed to it 4 different times in my work.
It's just one of those things now. I mean, at this point, gotta let it ride its course pretty much. We're sending kids home that sneeze or anything, you gotta get a test.
Yeah,
How long
Grace
is that
asked
gonna
him
go on?
Like at the Head Start. Because he was, had a running nose.
Oh.
Yeah, I had to take my.
Guess I know what I'm doing today.
They took mine in for a test because he had a running nose. They wouldn't let him practice football.
Well.
They let him go to
that,
school,
I would
but not
not paying you
football.
off. To work.
Close contact,
Might stay home all day.
even though they got helmets and pads on and all that good stuff.
I know.
She's still unemployed.
She called me last week.
Abundance of caution.
I'm so sick.
They
of
just-
hearing that.
I know, I am too.
We're gonna err on the side of caution.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a good thing.
Oh, close enough to 6 o'clock.
Rob.
I'm on and
There
recording,
we go.
so it's your call.
Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No.
And we'll assume roll call is all taken care of and
Yep.
we can move to approval of the agenda.
I moved to approve the agenda.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Who seconded it? Sorry.
Joe.
Oh, thank you.
Counselor Kevish. Get it right. Nobody here for the forum.
Nope.
We're on to the administrator's report, just like that, number 4.
So nothing's changed since our work session. But I'll go through the documents a little briefer. So that at least I have it on recording that we did it correctly.
Yes.
I'm not even gonna put it on the overhead because everybody has the same and there's no one in the audience. So the general fund document, first one in your packet, reviews the major revenue contributors to the general fund 2022 budget. And then on the expenditure pages 1 and 2 goes through your payroll, your benefits, and then the individual departments. And the most significant changes are truly just your rental inspections and mostly payroll. There isn't been a huge change. We kept it as close to 2021 as possible, including the street budget, street materials budget. So there hasn't been a dramatic increase. Moving on to the second document, reviews the general fund revenues in detail.
Can I have a question?
Of course, Don, yes.
I was gonna go on through this earlier and back to the payroll, the COLA increase, I see there's, 3% for,
Yes,
Or-
sir.
okay, so Mike gets a 3% COLA increase. Now, do the other guys get 3% COLA increase, or how's that following the union?
That's AI. That's actually listed under I. It's just not in red.
Okay,
The reason that 2 is listed with steps and COLAs is because those specific people listed in there are not at top of range of our wage scale.
okay,
So we budget for a 3%, and then we also do performance evaluations and evaluate that percentage increase.
okay, I wasn't picking on you.
No, you're fine.
No, that's the difference between those 2 lines. Anybody else have questions about the highlights? I don't want to blast through this if you guys do. Nick and Bobby Joe, you're okay? Okay, wonderful. Okay, then I'm gonna go to the second document, which hasn't had any changes either. The first page reviews the general fund revenues, compares 2020's budget actual to 21 and year to date. You can see in general, everything is the same. The only thing that really fluctuates is your LGA goes up a little bit every year, and the general property taxes go up. And then the other 2 that fluctuate is when we do our rental inspections. And those are reflected in the budget and the expenditures too.
Is there any word on what our LGA looks like? I mean, are they talking increases this year? I mean,
That was an increase, yes.
but I mean, a substantial to what they're gonna pass.
They've already passed it. I won't know. The only time when it gets certified at the end of their fiscal budget. So at the end of June,
This one.
when they are, when they adjourn, that's when LGA gets certified and sent to the counties and cities.
Good enough. Thank you.
Yep. The only way, Max, there would be a huge change is if, I've seen it once. I think it was either 2017 or 18 where they came back and they said, the major difference they're going to do is instead of only giving it to the cities in 2 payments, they're going to give 2 summer payments, and then we went like 50%, 20%, and then the remaining 30% in the fall, and that 70% the cities and the entities would get it really like around the June and July time. When normally it's only 50. They've done that difference, but they've never recertified and increased it much. Maybe once, but it wasn't a very large amount. What weighs very heavily on when cities and what they get is when your reporting is done. It's really important for cities to make sure they're reporting with the state auditor every year. That's why our financial audit is so important for us to have, because they want to know that we're doing what we're expected to do. Any other questions on the LGA? Okay. The bottom of page 1 goes over the major total department expenditures and gives you a glance of the proposed 2022 budget compared to the 21 budget and its increase over 21. The next few pages will review the details of the general fund budgets with the administration budget, police, fire, streets, parks, library, street lighting, and council. I believe I noted at the last meeting last week that I did account for the proposed ordinance increase to the council pay. That's your very last page in this document. where it makes that one particular budget jump about $4,500. And that's just accounting for work sessions and council meetings. And then the FICA that would reflect on that, and we would owe the IRS, of course.
Of course.
Mhm,
Can I ask something about the Wayside Rest?
certainly.
So I was looking at this Wayside Rest budget.
Yeah.
So we have a person that works at the Wayside Rest full time.
Yes.
Okay. And they have overtime there?
No, let me backtrack here so I can explain to you how the wages at the Wayside Rest work. So the visitor center is owned by the Chamber of Commerce. And they fund to staff the people that work there in the summer. And they're not full-time, they're just part-time ladies. The city acts as the pay agent for those people that work in the tourist information booth. And then we invoice the chamber at the end of the season for their wages. So if you're looking at the Wayside Rest budget and you go down to that part-time employees line of wherever we're at year to date, 34,2788, and it's overspent. The majority of that, Dawn, are the tourist information center staff. And then we'll take back and bill the chamber about, well, whatever the two people that are staffed. Some of that is Mike's part-time staff, but the majority of it, probably about $3,200 of that are the ladies that work in the booth in the center. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So what we'll bill the chamber for are their wages. And then we also bill them for a portion of our workers' comp so that they're covered while they're working for us in case something happens for them.
I didn't understand that when I was. reading this.
Absolutely, I totally understand. The full-time and full-time overtime that you're looking at for the top two lines year to date, those would be Mike's, Mike and Mike's staff. And then his part-time staff in the summer gets part of that part-time line, but not nearly as much as the entire dollar amount.
Well, that's not billed, that's not billed to the department or the Wayside Rest.
It is in the
On your budget?
it is in the upfront. And that's why I budget for it. But it always gets overspent because of the ladies that work there. So it's a reimbursement. It's kind of hard to look at because in the same respect, the police department have a training and equipment line. And we have the right with the state of Minnesota to request reimbursement for that. And we get that back. So we may fund their department line, but in the revenue side, we get it back. So in all fairness, general funds typically don't make money. They're supposed to break even, and that's why you see a net zero at the end.
Okay,
That's why the property tax line is always the exact difference of what we can't make up and nothing more.
all right, great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Further questions? Okay, great. And just to elaborate one more point on that, so if you're looking at the 2022 budgets, if you're just looking at the budget line for those part-time employees, that budget line is Mike's part-time employees. It'll always exceed that budget line. And we just don't know how many hours his staff is going to work compared to the ladies. So it's an estimate.
Standard. You never know what.
Exactly. You may have some people, I mean, his part-time staff didn't work as much as they would normally because we had such a no growing season this year. Yeah. Wasn't much to mow.
Oh,
Any other department questions you guys have? Okay. The next document in your packet would be the bond, the debt payments for the city. I went over this in detail at the work session, where this document's going to show you what property taxes we're going to levy for in addition to the city's general fund need, which gives you that total levy dollar amount. Not just what you see that's going to contribute to the general fund, but what also is going to go towards paying the property taxes, the debt payments that the city has for specific types of obligations. Without going into any more detail, did any of the council have further questions after the work session on this document that I can answer? I'm seeing shaking heads and not hearing those, so I'm gonna assume I can proceed.
You can move on.
Okay, very good. The last document in your packet with there would be my net tax capacity sample. I'm giving you a 4-year look back, or a 3-year look back, a 4-year total. You can see that for 2022, the total net tax capacity for the city is now at $3,444 $344,156. You add in the general funds need for property taxes and then the debt, giving you a mill rate of 105%, and what it, with a homestead exclusion, can look like for a taxpayer of a home with an estimated market value of $100,000. Going back, like I stated at the last meeting, yes, this is a fairly decent increase from last year. But if we do a look back to 2020, where the net tax capacity was reflected on 2018's growth, 2021's net tax capacity is reflected on 2019's growth. We're always a year off. Now we're reflected on 2020's growth, which was almost nothing. We had an $8,000 increase in net tax capacity based on 2020's growth, and that's a pandemic thing. But if we took out 2021, which we all know the city did its best to keep its general fund as close to what it was in 2020, not knowing what we're going into for 2022, and take that element out, if we would have increased in 2021, wouldn't seem like such a large jump right now. It's unfortunate that it is at this point, but we have to continue moving forward and not looking back. I mean, the city's got to have some growth. It's impossible for us to stay stagnant, otherwise we wouldn't be able to get anything done. And as you've heard from many, many other people, we're just kind of treading water with some of the things we are doing. And it's unfortunate, but there's departments in your general fund that are going to make up the majority of it and not going to make a whole lot of money off of from the city. So your police department's going to get restaffed, and it's going to be, you know, funded, and we're going to have a department once we get back to where we need to be. So I'm hopeful and pretty confident that we'll have a good pool of people to pick from when we get staff back up. We've already had 5 applicants just for officer justice position.
Oh, we're saving money right now. We're not paying.
You're right. Right.
Well, I mean, if we don't have it, you know, I mean,
Yep. You're absolutely right. We've been down this road before in 2016, where we had a full turnover at the department then.
when was his name's last day?
October, Jesperson, the 10th of September.
No, I mean, our chief.
Oh, October 6th. You'll accept his resignation up in the next meeting. Yeah. Any questions about the net tax capacity sample? Okay. Then next, if you guys don't have any more questions, that's my presentation, and you're on to your action item. I'm gonna sit. You guys are okay with that?
Yep.
Okay.
That's what's proposed.
That's basically the bare minimum to get by too. If we went any lower, we would probably might as well shut down the town.
I mean, the town has been getting by relatively cheap.
Compared to what needs to get done around here, it should be a little bit more, but we we definitely don't want to do that.
Well,
Taxpayers.
Yeah, all of us that live here, we all live here, so.
There are obviously repercussions from last year not raising them. So
Right.
obviously,
either way, we're gonna get slammed for it. It doesn't really matter.
I think on a general standpoint, everybody's going to be upset. Because not only is the city looking at it as an increase to the levy, but everyone around us is doing the same thing too. The
it's
counties
around
is
the board.
going up,
It's
the
everywhere.
city of Bemidji is going up. I can't state for the ambulance taxing district, but they went up last year for this year. It's just, and it's getting harder and harder for many entities to gain staff too. And for us to go backwards on that is gonna crumble your basic infrastructure if that's the case.
But we need to keep our infrastructure solid.
Yeah,
I mean,
and when I talk about it, I'm talking just your staff as an infrastructure, because we're the ones that need to keep the city running.
And, you know, and our equipment's not really the.
There's a couple pieces out there, but Mike is gonna have problems.
We need to create,
That's what I mean. We're gonna be running into
you
issues.
know, I don't know, when I went forward.
There's
You know,
The good thing is that
We
the
got
grass
plenty
is
of
starting to
headaches.
slow down.
I mean, there's lots of things that town needs.
Lots.
Lots and lots.
We don't have any other discussion on it. We want to go ahead and just approve this. Knowing that technically you can lower it after you approve this and raise it. And that hearing is December 6th.
Yeah.
So if somebody's got a great idea between now and December 6th.
But I'm sitting in the finance committee and we've already slashed it. More than enough, more than what we should, honestly, because we're basically even Mike and his department high, leaving them hanging high and dry for this year. There's
So the-
2 years in a row.
So the best light at the end of the tunnel that I can give the council at this time is that I'm starting to have enough time to go through the American Rescue Act, qualifying eligible items, and I'm starting to learn a little bit more. And there may be some things that we put into this budget that might be covered under there. And if we act as a city to be able to earmark those for some of these items that we have to certify preliminary tonight, that might give us cause to be able to lower it before December. I can't say how drastic that'll be, but just the two items I learned about today, I was really surprised.
That there's, we're not gonna be, we're not gonna find $10,000 a piece here on the council. And everybody, and we slash the thing by $50,000. I highly doubt that's gonna happen. But I'm saying, if you approve this tonight, make sure you're taking a good hard look at it, line by line, know exactly what we're getting. That's all. With that, I would ask for someone make a motion if there's no other discussion.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2021-26.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this resolution? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, passes. Motion to adjourn.
Bobby Joe, and then Max.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
That excludes me federally.